Sub 220, attempt number 5. The journey starts and ends here in Berlin. There ain't no going back now. Let's go. Okay guys, what better way to do the intro to the series than in Berlin itself, where the air smells quick and the roads are flat, wide and fast. Hopefully come 8 weeks time. I'm in Berlin at the moment, so I'm here for an Adidas Runners European Summit. So I'm an Adidas Runners captain myself, a London captain, and the summit was all about bringing the European captains together. So we've had a 2-day team building. It's been jam-packed. It's been so useful, and it's just made me so proud to be part of this incredible community, where it's just such an amazing diverse of people from all over Europe and all over the world come together to share the experience and unlock what's best for the community. So yeah, if you're in one of the biggest cities in the world, you know, there's almost guaranteed to be an Adidas runners group there, and I highly encourage you to go along to the community. It's amazing.
And 1, 2, 3!
But yeah, I'm actually about to embrace in a 10k race. So it's pretty much the way that the summit is ending, with the Berlin City 10k. So as you can see here, I've got the 3 stripes, got the race cut in, and I was feeling good heading into this weekend, but it's been a jam-packed and eventful weekend. So let's just say we'll leave it all out there. PB's 30:46. By the time you watch this, you would have known what I've done. Yeah, I'm feeling it, I'm buzzing, but it's been a busy couple of days, so let's see if I can get the legs firing. Okay, before I get into further news about how I'm gonna break 220 this time, I just wanna mention that Adidas has partnered up and supported the club I founded, Best Athletics. I founded this club pretty much 2.5 years ago. It was officially registered. We're just over 400 members, and it's amazing to have the support from Adidas, which means that new sick merch is coming out soon. So look out for that. I can't wait to share that with you, and we'll see what the journey ahead has in store for us. Let's go. Okay, so as I mentioned in the beginning, this is my 5th attempt at a sub 220, and yeah, I've tried and I've failed 4 times before, but can you actually call it failure when I've learned so much along the journey in each one? You know, it's given me purpose, drive, determination. It's kept me focused, especially for those 8 weeks that I've built up to the event, and it's just brought out the absolute best in me. It's helped me reach levels I never ever thought I was capable of. But having said that, you know, having done Berlin last year in 2:20 and 8 seconds, there is only one way I feel I can truly make that right, and that's to return here and find those 9 seconds. But yeah, I wouldn't say I've failed 4 times. I've learned so much from them, but I know I can do it, so this is the one. People often ask me, well, what next after 220? What happens when you break 220? And my answer to that is, let's not worry about that now. Let's focus on the job at hand. 220 is the goal for now. You know, if I am able to do it, then I'll maybe look to improve on my 10k PB, maybe target a sub 30-minute 10k, and then eventually I want to make a return to the ultra marathon distances. So yeah, potentially doing 2 Oceans Ultra next year. But like I said, let's focus on the job at hand. Berlin Marathon, that's the main goal. Okay, so to remind you of my previous 4 attempts, the first one was London Marathon 2021, and very tough day for me. I woke up feeling physically not great, good enough to do the marathon but not good enough to perform. I went through halfway in just under 70 minutes, but guys, I felt awful. Like, I was in denial to myself about it. There was no ways I could carry on, and yeah, I really struggled. I think I finished in 2:33 or 2:34, so a massive fade second half, and yeah, it was tough, but I'm happy I didn't. It's probably the closest I've ever come to DNFing a race, but yeah, just super proud of myself for getting through that. It's one I don't really want to think about or dwell on too much. Then the next attempt was Rotterdam in 2022. So yeah, leading into that, I was fresh off my Cambridge half PB, which was 66.19. So I was nice and confident to attack a 220 in Rotterdam. Went through halfway in around 69 minutes. Was in a good group, and yeah, the group kind of imploded at 30. And I found that I was isolated, lonely, down, and I just couldn't lift my morale up, slightly depleted. And yeah, hung on for a 220 and 59 seconds, but I just didn't have it in me that day to break 220. Then the next attempt was Berlin Marathon 2022, so pretty much almost exactly a year ago. And yeah, this is the closest I've come, so I ran 220 in 8 seconds. I changed my tactic for Berlin. I went through halfway in 70 minutes and 20 seconds. And then I did a negative split. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough of a negative split. I'm my own worst enemy that race, because I really thought and believed and tasted that I could do it. But I didn't write the split times down on my arms. And I did empty the tank at the end, so I don't think it would have made a difference. But I thought I was under time. So to see that clock tick in front of my eyes, knowing that at Brandenburg Gate I wasn't going to do it no matter how much I pushed, that hurt. It really, it still does hurt. It's such a bittersweet feeling, because having been coming from a 3:17 marathon background to doing a 220 is out of my wildest dreams. But to be within tasting distance and 9 seconds away, it's just got this empty piece in my heart, which, guys, we're going to make right. And then on to the next attempt was Seville 2023, so earlier this year. And I went 2:21.27 seconds, so actually the slowest of my marathons in the last 3. In the last 3 I've averaged 2:21 seconds. But in Seville, I kind of felt that I could really go for it. I wanted to change my tactics from Berlin, because I went off cautiously at Berlin. I thought, let's take it out a bit more aggressive. If I'm feeling good, I'm going to go for it, and I'm going to run according to how I'm feeling. Went a little bit too hard, but I was feeling amazing. I went through halfway in 68 low, so tracking for a 2:16 marathon. And at that stage, I really believed that I could do what I did in the second half as I did in the first half. But reality smacked me in the face. Last 10 Ks of a marathon, as we know, it gets real. And yeah, my pace just completely faded. Do you know what? I think of all the attempts, I've drawn the most confidence from the Seville attempt, even though it was the slowest of my last 3 marathons. The fact that I went through halfway in that time feeling that good, I know that if I can get into the same shape, if not slightly better shape, and just execute a better race, then it's there. Okay, so on to the next point. What am I going to change this block? So you probably think, I did 2:20 in 8 seconds. I've got 9 seconds to find. Not much needs to change. And I think the same. However, my life's changed quite a bit since then. So I've needed to make changes to my training and train in a smarter way to give myself the best possible chance. So the first change I'm making is change to my weekly structure. So previously I would have done a big Tuesday, a big Saturday, and an intermediate Thursday. I'm now, probably every second week or so, going to do a double session on a Tuesday and then a session on a Friday. So basically there's going to be 2 harder days in the week instead of 2.5. But the one's going to be doubled. It's going to be really quite intense, and the Friday is going to be really quite intense. All else in between easy. And then every other week I'll repeat the structure I did previously. So big Tuesday, big Saturday, and intermediate Thursday. The next change is that this time around I have got another addition to the family. So my littlest one is 3 months and my little one is 2.5 years. And yeah, I think, you know, parents with 2 kids will understand that. First of all, it's the biggest blessing in the world. And you know, super grateful for it, but at the same time with that comes sacrifices. Time is crucial to training for a 220. You always need good recovery. You need to spend time on recovering. You need to spend time sleeping. You need to spend all this time, and you know, when you have 2 busy kids in your life, you just simply don't have that time. So yeah, like I said, that's why I've made the changes to the structure. And you know what, It's going to be more challenging, I'm not gonna lie. I should have broken 220 when I had one child. With two, it's a different ball game. But you know what, us runners, we love a challenge. Like, bring it on. I can't wait to embrace it. And hey, it'll be even sweeter when it happens. The next change is that I'm working with a runner specific S&C physio, Luke from R&D Physio, and I'm gonna make sure, so I slacked on this in the previous blocks because the running was so intense. I found that I didn't have time to focus on the S&C, but this time I'm gonna make time. And we found that there's areas I can definitely improve on, especially with my form and my running economy. My hips are quite tight. And they're not very mobile, so doing a lot of mobility work, which I can't wait to share with you along the way. And then I'm also working with a Kara of mine, Q1, who's really top quality, and we're going to be doing a lot of realignments. You know, you develop bad habits throughout this vigorous training, so it's more just aligning, make sure everything's flowing smoothly in the right space. Probably a bit of needling to the glutes and the hammies, just to, you know, keep them loose, speed up that recovery and make sure things are flowing nicely. And then the last sort of thing I'm being conscious of this block is that, you know, life can be crazy with social media. It's the most amazing thing because you meet so many incredible people and you get so much support from it, but at the same time it can be overwhelming and you can get, you know, entwined and engrossed in it. And often I found recently that when I'm running, you know, and filming, I'm thinking about what am I going to say, how is this going to look on camera, so on and so forth. And for this race, I'm going to completely ignore that stuff, and I'm going to think of what the reason was why I started running in the beginning. And I think that's just going to allow me to get that focus and tap into those extra reserves that I need. Okay, so just to touch base on some of the things that I think are going in my favor. First of all, I've come within 9 seconds of breaking 220, so I know what it takes. I've tasted it, and it's all just about executing it properly this time. The next thing is that the support gets better every time. It just gets a little bit bigger, a little bit better, and I absolutely thrive off that support. It's like fuel, and I just, you know, soak it all up. So that support is incredible. And the last thing is that Elliot Kipchoge, the world record holder for now, hopefully he improves on that at Berlin. He's coming around to Berlin again, so I'll be sure to give him a fist pump at the start again. Okay, and then finally onto some of the bits and pieces that I'm going to cover off throughout this block. If you would like any more, please let me know in the comments below and I'll be sure to cover them off. But the first is probably insight into nutrition, you know, what I eat in a day, how I'm fueling throughout training, how I'm going to fuel for the race. The next thing is my sessions, the sessions it takes to get into sub 220 shape, and hopefully some session ideas that you can use yourself. My Adidas shoe rotation, what shoes I use for easy run days, my tempo running shoes, my track and interval running shoes, my long run shoes, and my race day shoe. Insights into my weekly S&C, how I'm going to improve on that hip mobility, how I'm going to improve form, how I'm going to work on my weaknesses, areas I can strengthen. And then all in all, just what goes into breaking 220. I'll be open and honest. I share all my training on my Strava, so feel free to have a look. But yeah, what I would say is, you know, 220 for me, I've challenged myself. I've set a big challenge for myself, and I think for some professional runners, 220, it's not that hard, right? For some runners, 3 hours is very hard. We all have different abilities. So, you know, often I encourage healthy competition. That competition's good, but ultimately it's you versus you. You want to be the best you can be, and I feel like sub 220 would just be the best possible me running wise that I can. And then finally, guys, I just want to say that, you know, sub 220, it's become so much more than just the time for me. And I know each attempt, you know, more and more people are interested in backing and supporting me, and I can't wait to do this for those who have followed this journey and those backing and supporting me. But ultimately, I also can't wait to do this for myself. Yeah, it's a massive challenge for me, and I know what goes into it. And you know, there's going to be a lot of good, fun, enjoyable times, but there's going to be a lot of dark, lonely, unmotivated times where it gets super tough. And I'm prepared for it. We're gonna do this, guys. We're gonna do this, and there ain't no going back now. Appreciate the support. I'll see you for my week 1 of training next week. Let's go. It's business time.